Good morning, beautiful people. It is Jen Harris once more, yet again, still. Oh man, can you believe we are like 2.5 days from a whole other year? So we have already decided as a culture at 12:01, we're all gonna holler out Jumanji. So I don't have to reiterate that. But I want to come in this morning again, the last live that I'm going to do for this year. I know that I have been kind of MIA on this particular portion of Beyonce's internet because lots of stuff is happening. For those of you who forget, I'm a mama bear first. And sometimes mama wolf when I have to be. But getting kids together, they're doing virtual learning. It is still a global pandemic and your girl still has a day job. So with that said, I have not done my Q&As in a minute. And I haven't done the Friday night spoken word. So, but trust, those things are coming for 2021. I'm actually up today getting some other things done, including emails, the calendar for Q1, and also following up on some other opportunities that I cannot quite let you all know about just yet, right? But the one thing I want to come in on is kind of my farewell address for 2020. For those of you who have followed me for some time, know that my claim to fame, aside from these words, and aside to troublemaking, depending on who you ask, is the empowerment of writers, the development of writers. That is my wheelhouse. That is what I love to do, and I am blessed enough to do that, and that there are people who trust me with their creative babies to do the thing that I love to do. With that said, I'm not going to be before you long, as all preachers say, right? But I'm going to try my best not to be before you all long as far as it relates to this concept of owning your pen. I talked about this on the Writer's Block podcast, I want to say last month, but I think it bears repeating. I think that it is time that I kind of expound on that, especially as we wrap up this year. When I say own your pen, this is what I mean. I want you to remember that your talent is yours. It's yours. It belongs to you. It was given to you. This means no one can dictate what you can write about, and no one can tell you what you cannot write about. One of the quotes that this writing ministry, if I can use that term, has been based on is the Christopher Priest quote. Now, for those of you who don't know, even though I have referenced him often on this particular portion of the world, Christopher Priest is one of the writers and creators of Black Panther. He said this quote, "A real writer can write anything." This means there's nothing off limits to your imagination. There is nothing that your imagination can't touch. There's nothing that your imagination plus your experience cannot create. The one thing I see with people who come to me for brainstorming ideas, even certain clients, I have to remind them that their talent is theirs, that it belongs to you. Your talent is not subject to what people think you should write about. And if you ever find yourself in a position where you're questioning why you're holding your own pen, you need to take a minute. Because the first person you write for is you. So says the goddess herself, Nikki Giovanni. Nikki Giovanni says it like this, if you don't want to take your girl's word for it. Nikki Giovanni says, if you write like somebody's over your shoulder, you'll never write. And Zora Neale Hurston says it like this, if you are silent about your pain, they will kill you and say you enjoyed it. The thing that is so, and also while I'm giving out quotes, Audre Lorde said it like this, aside from my favorite quote, women are powerful and dangerous. She said that there will be times when you as a writer won't write. And those times are heartbreaking because writing is like breathing. And that last quote, I can totally get behind because I have lived through that. The thing that I want you to remember, again, as we go toward and push toward the end of the year, is that your talent is yours. You dictate what you write. You dictate what your imagination has revealed to you. You have all power to tell your imagination, no, I don't want to write this, or yes, I do want to write this, or I'm going to shelve this for right now. But don't ever let someone tell you what you cannot create. This is the thing I find most often. especially in doing the work and advocacy that I do, that I find people that say, Jen, I want to do this, or I want to write this, but I don't know how. And, my first thought is, the mechanics, like, okay, what are you struggling with? Like, is it the genre? Is it the title? Is it putting things together? Is it the schematic? What is it? And they tell me, well, my mom doesn't like that I write this, or my husband doesn't like that I write this, or my bae doesn't like it. Forget these people. Forget these people. Your talent is yours. You cannot come softly or lightly to the blank page. So says Stephen King. There is something that you are going to have to allow yourself to become in order to write. What do I mean? You're going to have to give yourself permission to create. This goes into owning your pen. This goes into that almost abstract concept of reaching into your creativity and pulling out what you want. Now, I said this also on the podcast in the last miniseries I did. I believe it was last month. That said memo that was entitled "Memo to Those Who Think They Own Your Pen," and I talked about the 2 tiers of support. One tier of support are the people who just support you as the vessel, you as the writer. No matter what you're doing, they support you, they push you, they want you to do well in it. Then you have the other tier of support that says, okay, I'm going to support you only if you do X, Y, and Z. These conditional people, they're okay, but you have to remember that they're conditional. There'll be people who will sift through your work and say, hey, I like this, I don't like this. And because you focus more on this, I can't rock with you. You can't pay attention to that. Now, granted, you don't need an echo chamber. No one really does, especially starting out. But let me put a pin in that for you, mesh up a little bit right quick. You as the writer will always need support. However, you may not always get the support that you want. But that cannot deter you or stop you from doing what it is that you want to do. Now, the question that I get after that is, well, Jen, how do I have the confidence to own my pen, as you say? You get the confidence by doing. There's no other way. I wish there were, beloved. There is no other way to get better at writing except by writing. What's up, big cousin? Like, you can't get better at writing without writing. That's just not possible. It's not feasible. And the only thing I can tell you is, as far as giving yourself that permission to keep writing, is read more than you write. Baldwin said that. You cannot be subject to people who do not support you. If you narrow your focus, if you narrow your scope to just people who you want to support you, those people may never support you. You can't trip off them. You can't put your stock in people who put a condition on their support for you. Now, going back to the first tier of support people, those people just support you and are glad that you're out here doing something that makes you happy. Especially starting out, that's always dope. That's always bomb. That's always great when people, whether it be one person or 1,000 people who see your blog post, who have bought your book, whom you have showed a poem to, or kicked around an idea with. Those people are always needed and necessary. And those tier 1 people are always going to be there, even if they may not necessarily agree with a certain genre of work that you do. Case in point. My mama is very devout. I have made no mistake. I make no qualm about that, and I believe it's one of the reasons why I'm still on planet Earth is because I have a praying mother. But when I kind of got into horror as a younger kid, she kind of was like, I can't rock with this, but I support you because I see that this is your gift. See what I'm saying? So there will be people who may not necessarily understand why you lean toward a specific genre away from others, but they support you. You always need those tier 1, A1, day 1 people. So when you go to own your pen, I want you to take that to heart. I want you to remember that in order for you to be better at this, you have to write like no one is watching you. You have to write because it's in you to create that thing. It's in you. Another case in point is one of my other favorite authors, Mr. Walter Mosley. Walter Mosley is now doing a masterclass which I'm completely signing up for here in a second. And he said the reason why he started writing was because he failed at everything else. So there are people who fall necessarily into writing because they feel that they have nothing else to do, or they've tried everything else. And then you have those like my shero, Shonda Rhimes, who says that, you know, she's tired of people saying that authors or writers were lured into writing. And she, you know, had her swag with it and said, you know, I created $1.2 billion worth of revenue off her imagination. I'm not the trail, I am the candy. And I subscribe to that. So in owning your pen, find people who also are confident in their writing, whom indeed have a home in it, who aren't shook by people's support or non-support of them, because they have now developed such a thick skin, as it were, that they write regardless. You know, whether 9 people read or 9 million people read, they will still create. So owning your pen is basically you having the confidence to write what you want to write, regardless of what other people think. And this is the thing that I tell my clients when they come to me, especially when they say, you know, the magic phrase that puts my spidey sense on end. You know, I can't write this. Or, you know, again, the follow-up question is, well, why can't you write it? And then it's this matter of giving permission. So again, give yourself permission to reach into that creativity and pull out what you need. If for right now, you want to write a poem, do that. If you have a short story you've been kicking around, do that. If you have an idea for a blog, do that. You will only get better at this by doing so. Do not allow, here I go with the clap, do not allow people who are not doing anything to tell you what you cannot do. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. Do not allow people who are not doing anything to dictate to you what you should be doing. Because if they had some business, they couldn't mind yours at the same time. So with that being done and said, my dearest ones, as the year ticks out, leave trash logic behind you as it relates to writing. You will only get better at this by doing it. Even if you have just 5-10 minutes a day to go ahead and write something down, do that. If you can be on Facebook 30 minutes, you can write 30 minutes. If you can be on TikTok an hour, you can write for an hour. If you can sit down and watch TV for 30 minutes, you can read for 30 minutes. You know, these small basic things that seem to be very rudimentary, that seem very innocuous, actually go to build your writing confidence as well. Do not be afraid of that. Do not be afraid of that. And as I say often, don't fear anybody you could take down with a pen. Hey, sis, you know, don't be afraid of anybody whom you could take down with a pen, pencil, or eraser. Because most of the people who want to stop you from writing truly have an issue with their own criticism. Clearly, they have an issue with minding their own business. You know, when I started, freelancing and blogging and things like that, I cannot tell you how many people try to tell me that I shouldn't be doing this. Why? Because it wasn't paying me. But yet and still, I did it anyway. I did it anyway because this was something that I wanted to do. And now, to toot my own horn a little bit, now I have 3 platforms. I own a business, and I podcast, and I still make time to do this advocacy work, to still fight this erasure of Black people in literature. I still do that, and still working on my MFA. So you have to have a healthy dose of don't care-ish to do this, because you have to have enough confidence in yourself to say, this is what I want to do. And there's nobody who can take this from me because it's mine. I'm not trying to take your pen from you. So why are you trying to take mine from me? We're not going to do this. No, this is mine. So as I leave you on today to go back to your worlds and thoughts and dreams for the rest of this year and going into next year, I want you to own your pen. I want you to take stock of who is truly supporting you in it. And remember what I said. You will have people who will support you regardless because they see you doing something that they have seen. They keep the tier 1 people. Those people are always going to support you no matter what. They're not necessarily an echo chamber, but they desperately want to see you do well, no matter what it is, right? The tier 2 people will put conditions on their support, saying that if you just write it like this, if you just do it like this, or I don't like that you wrote this and you need to do this, those people, you need to weed out. And I'm gonna mesh up a little bit more and unpin that. And as it relates to tier 2 people, those people are going to be the ones who come up with their creative criticism or constructive criticism. They may tell you, okay, look, this is good, but you need to change this here. So remember to keep an ear to that. Because again, as you get better at this, as your confidence develops, then you will be able to say, okay, you know, what do you think? That's when you can bring in beta readers, but that's a whole other live, right? But the one thing I want you to remember, especially from these tier 2 people, is measure their criticism. Is the criticism for the work or you? And sometimes us as artists, we're like, oh, you know, I'm not going to show anybody anything. Oh, you know, I'm panic attack. And that's not always so. So you have to remember to measure their criticism accordingly. Because there could be something there that you haven't seen. Because again, once you're creating the work and you're this close to it, you don't see anything. So be mindful of the people who say, you know, start off with the phrase, you need to do X. So don't automatically shut that door. Ask them to expound on that. And if they can't really give you constructive criticism as to how to change that or improve that, you already know where to file them at. Okay? You already know where to file them at. And there will be some that you may need to, you know, to investigate or reevaluate or reread your work. And that's cool. You need that. But the thing is, these tier 2 people cannot dictate to you what you should write about. They cannot do that because your talent is yours. It belongs to you. And since it belongs to you, it is up to you to take care of it. It is up to you to protect it. And it's up to you to grow it. And with that said, I hope that I was motivating enough for you on this Tuesday to do what you need to do. I'm already proud of you. I'm already looking forward to everything you're going to do. And if you ever need my help, you know, I'm always accessible on this portion of Beyonce's internet, and my information should be here on Facebook or here on Instagram. So I thank you all for your love, support, and continued championing of my fierce intelligence and the mouth that seems to always get me in trouble. But my daddy made it so. But at the same time, I thank you all so much. And again, all my contact information is either here or here. And I look forward to collaborating with all of you in the next year. I look forward to all the opportunities. I look forward to everything God is going to let you create and what he is going to create through you. So I look forward to it. I'm excited. I personally am going to get back to writing. So I love you with the love of the Lord. I'll see y'all later. Cousin, you already know.